Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtadar Khan, your host, and today I'll talk to you about what's happening with Donald Trump. It appears that the Europeans have grown some courage. They have found some courage from somewhere, and they are not only criticizing Donald Trump, but basically telling Donald Trump to go and Trump himself. For example, J.D. Vance, the vice president of the United States, went all the way to Hungary to campaign with Viktor Orban. Viktor Orban is very, very critical for the right wing conservative movement all over the world. He basically wrote the textbook on right wing populism. He, he has come up with all the strategies that people like Donald Trump, like Milei in Argentina, like Narendra Modi in India, even Erdogan in Turkey, and other right wing, basically populist leaders have been adopting to keep an aura of democracy through elections, but suppressing vote that challenges them, suppressing media that finds them critical, reducing the judicial autonomy, and all of these tricks were uh, basically tested out in Hungary by Viktor Orban, who was in power for what, nearly 16 years now. And so, with, with all the support from Donald Trump and with all the support from J.D. Vance, Viktor Orban lost. And that is an amazing thing that the Europeans came out. And this was a guy who used to win with what, 60, 70% of the vote. And so that's one big blow against Donald Trump that the Europeans have basically struck. They have said, we are getting rid of your most important man. And remember, Viktor Orban was not only the poster child for right-wing populism, but he's also Israel's best friend inside EU, and many measures that EU wanted to take against Israel during the war and genocide in Gaza, Viktor Orban was always there to veto any such measures on behalf of Israel. So this is a major, major blow against Donald Trump. It is important to note that while Donald Trump was wielding the tariff wand and intimidating countries, the countries were really bending to Donald Trump. But what happens is, let's say you have some power and leverage over me, and you use that leverage against me to make me comply and do things that you want. But the moment you use it, then the damage has been done. And now you don't have any leverage against me. So Donald Trump has exercised most of his leverage over Europeans, except one big step, which is to leave NATO. But as far as the Europeans are concerned, he has more or less left NATO. They don't trust him. They don't trust the United States anymore. They feel that NATO is already over. If tomorrow some European country is attacked, will Donald Trump say, first you pay me this, or you do that and give me this money, or invest in my son-in-law's equity firm, or in my son's cryptocurrency company? Like, what is Donald Trump going to demand before he fulfills the obligations of Article 5 of NATO? He's already sent a signal that he does not respect international law at all. He does not believe in international law. He does not believe that the United States is constrained by legal or normative values in any which way. Even the Pope is not exempt from his anger and his contempt, because the Pope provides a moral critique of Donald Trump's policies and actions. So now even Europeans who have already suffered the tariffs, shall we say, barrage that Donald Trump unleashed against them, and also created an aura of uncertainty and fear in Europe with regards to the United States' commitment to NATO. They're not afraid. So I'm going to list a few things that the Europeans have done to show how, from Hungary to Hormuz, the Europeans are telling Donald Trump to go Trump himself. So I even created a nice infographic for your information. So the first thing is that they refused to join his war against Iran. In fact, they they very clearly said this is not our war. This is not Europe's war. This is Donald Trump's war. This is the war by Israel. In fact, it is not even in the United States' interest. Just before the U.S. went to war and attacked Iran, the U.S. intelligence community very clearly said that Iran was not an imminent threat to the United States. In fact, Iran was not an imminent threat either to Israel or anybody else because it had already received a massive hammering by the United States and Israel in the 12-day war, as well as in the summer when Donald Trump bombed its nuclear facilities. And you could see that Iran had absolutely no air defense. And yet, mm, Donald Trump wanted to go to war and wanted NATO and all European countries to go with him. And, and he didn't get any support. None of the European countries agreed to send troops, even token symbolic troops, to help him in this war. Of course, he kept saying, I don't need any help, but I just wanted to know who will go with him. And he found out, and nobody. Nobody wants to fight with the United States because the US is fighting illegal and unjustified wars and only for the interest of an expansionist Israel. Israel saw this moment as an opportune moment because Iran has been weakened. And Israel saw that they have a foolish guy like Donald Trump in the White House who will not listen to his own generals, who will not listen to his own intelligence community, who will not listen to his own CIA and his own director of national intelligence, but will listen to a foreign head of state and the lobbyists who give him money. The lobbyists from that country who should all be registered as foreign agents in this country, but because they have so much money and because they have paid so many of our politicians from the president onwards on both sides of the aisle, that there is no morality, no law, no principle to which American politicians will adhere when it comes to Israel. They'll just do whatever Israel wants. The Leahy law, they will simply ignore that. International Criminal Court, Netanyahu is wanted, nothing doing. He can come to the White House whenever he pleases. Anyway, so the first thing the Europeans said is not our war, this illegal war. We will not go to war. So that was I'm talking about in the most recent weeks that the Europeans have told Donald Trump to go Trump himself. They refused to join his war to advance Israeli interest in the Gulf. Number two, they ignored Trump's pleas to help fight Iran's stranglehold on the Strait of Hormuz when Iran blocked the Strait of Hormuz, which, by the way, if you read the New York Times, apparently this came up in the discussion. You know, I must tell you, after reading the New York Times entire article about how Trump made the decision, I think my simulations in my American foreign policy class, POSC 313, remember this, the simulations in my American foreign policy class, which is composed of only undergraduates who are barely 20 years old, are more sophisticated, more comprehensive, more thoughtful. On every time I have simulated a US or Israeli war with Iran, Iran has blocked Hormuz. And well, no one ever came up with the toll idea in the simulations. That's a creative one from Iran. But yes, they have used Hormuz as a leverage. Young kids who barely spent 4 or 6 weeks in an American foreign policy class and probably have done only 2 or 3 days of research on the situation, and they are able to say, oh my God, Iran is going to block the Strait of Hormuz, it's going to have a huge impact on oil supply, etc. and Netanyahu tells Donald Trump that it is unlikely, and Donald Trump believes him. And Donald Trump likes to think that he's a very high IQ. My God, he would get an F in my class in that American foreign policy simulation. It's just our misfortune that we have like millions of dumb people in this country who voted him to power. And he betrayed them. He promised them that he would never go to a war in the Middle East, no new wars, no regime change, etc. And he's doing exactly that. He said America first. He doesn't even use the word America first anymore because he knows that all he's doing is Israel first. But anyway, the second no from Europe was to ignore Trump's demands to help fight the stranglehold in the Strait of Hormuz. Third was then he begged them to come back and help him blockade. And even that, everybody said no. In fact, Starmer now has developed a spine finally, and he also said no to this. In fact, Macron and Starmer hosted an alternative conference on what to do with the Strait of Hormuz. And all of them are very clear that they want to negotiate with Iran. And they have been keeping the back channels open with Iran. So, number one, they refused to join Trump's war. Number two, they ignored his pleas to help him with the Strait of Hormuz. Number three, they rejected his call to blockade the Strait of Hormuz. This just happened yesterday. And then, of course, Hungary resoundingly rejects Trump's ally. And you know, Viktor Orban had rigged the system so badly that it had to be a miracle that he lost the election. It was not a fair election at all in Hungary. Everything was biased and in his favor. And for that, it's like a very big, loud no from Hungarians. The fifth one is Giorgia Meloni, the only pro-Trump leader left now in Europe. And guess what? She not only rebuked Donald Trump in the last 24 hours because of the way he's talking to the Pope. She said it's unacceptable what Donald Trump has said about the Pope. What the Pope is doing is valid. That's his job, to criticize war. And that is something that is absolutely unacceptable. She used the word unacceptable about Donald Trump when he's talking to the Pope. But not only that, she even struck a blow against Donald Trump by deciding to suspend the defense agreement that Israel and Italy had. American foreign policy, most of the time, is just advancing Israeli interests. So, for example, when Joe Biden went to Saudi Arabia, one of the main reason he gave in his article in the New York Times as to why I went to Saudi Arabia, which everybody knew was to get Saudi Arabia to bring down the price of oil. But he said, oh, I went there to get Saudis to give permission for Israel to fly its passenger aircraft through Saudi airspace. Why does the American president have to go to a foreign country and then make up with a leader who he had promised he would make him a pariah? That was his campaign promise. Joe Biden said, I will make Saudi Arabia a pariah, MBS a pariah. Then he goes there and fist bumps him and says, can you please let the Israelis fly? I mean, like, what are you, the president of the United States or a publicity manager for Israel? So this is how the American politicians suck up to the Israeli lobby, which then gives them some crumbs, some money. And then after they finish their presidencies, I guess they use their connections to get them jobs, give their family members jobs, etc. No one in the mainstream media even does research on this issue to see how the family members of those who are APAC supporters and Israel supporters benefit from that financially. So Giorgia Meloni just stands up there and says, no, don't, what you're saying about the Pope is unacceptable. And you know what? I'm going to break my deal. No European country would dare to do that because they know that criticizing Israel will upset the Americans. So Trump has steadily lost the West. He's already lost the East. Iran is telling it, just standing up there and fighting the United States and Israel on its own, all alone on behalf, because the East is full of servant-like people who just bend their knee to Trump in the hope that you will give me some technology, you will give me some investments, you'll give my people some jobs. Please, please give some jobs to my millions unemployed young educated people, or send some millions of dollars. Please give us technology, give us some engines, show us how to make you know, they have no other pursuit. Like they're so begging of the United States that they're willing to take whatever shit the US throws at them. But Iran is not like that, it's standing up to it. Even it means standing up not just against the US, but everybody else. And so I don't know whether Donald Trump even realizes it, that his bullying of Europe has backfired. Eventually, the Europeans are now resisting him and rejecting him and going against him. Anyway, that's all I wanted to share today. If you like, you should, if you can, take a screenshot of this and share it widely on your social political network. I'm going to post this on X and other places, so you can forward it there. And don't forget to follow us on social media. If you're on Facebook, Conversation is available on Facebook. A lot of my what do you call those clips have done well. One clip just went viral with over 600,000 views. So please follow us on social media, follow us on X, on Facebook, on LinkedIn if you're there. And I think I am also on Instagram, even though I don't use it much. So anyway, take care. Thank you for watching Conversations. Please subscribe to the channel. If you have not already done so, please like this video, press the bell icon, and don't forget to share this with your socio-political network. Until next time, I'm your host, Muqtadar Khan. Take care.